Hi, everybody, and welcome to this midweek edition. We are happy to have you here. We would like you to subscribe to our page and our YouTube channel just because that's how the algorithms grow, and we would like to reach more people. I feel like we should be saying this all the time. But yeah, please subscribe and share our page. Today, we are going to be here for maybe over an hour or a few minutes, and hopefully we're going to talk a little bit more about the Olympics currently going on in Paris, France, particularly the opening ceremony. And if we have time, we'll talk about how Canada is doing and maybe how Cameroon is doing. But yeah, our main topic for today is the controversy around the opening ceremony. A lot of people have seen the little excerpt where it seemed to show the Last Supper. We talk about how people feel about it and what Christians should do. Okay, again, if you would like to join, please leave a comment and we'll be happy to address them. I think we'll try to address comments as we go. And if you are otherwise willing and you want to come on stream, that will be wonderful as well. We'll be happy to have you. So without much ado, let's get in. Did you watch the opening ceremony?
I really did not watch the opening ceremony. I think
Yeah.
it happened while I was um working, so
Yeah.
I did not get a chance to do that. But after my day, I came back home and I took the opportunity to watch highlights
Right.
of the opening ceremony, not the entire thing, but a lot of the presentations and the little acts and and introducing the different teams. Yes, I did take the time to
Right.
watch that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I did not watch it. So mostly my information was from social media where a lot of people were complaining. Then I watched a little part. So that little part where there seems to be a display of the Last Supper, they say it's not, but that's what we want to talk about. Um, did you personally feel offended by that display? I mean, a lot of Christians said it was a display of the Last Supper, Da Vinci's painting of the Last Supper. Did you?
I mean,
Mhm.
evidently it was. I know. I don't know how you could dispute that it
Right.
wasn't. I think this is the organizers trying to defend themselves after the fact.
Yeah.
Anybody who is a Christian who has read the Bible, who has seen the painting,
Yeah.
doesn't wouldn't need anyone telling you that this was what these people were trying to exhibit.
Mhm.
But again, I don't think that the issue is trying to do something about the Last Supper. I think the issue is the people and the people that were used uh, 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 to represent
The Last Supper.
Jesus and the 12 disciples on the Last Supper, right?
Yeah.
For me, I think that anyone who saw it didn't need anybody explaining to them what was really happening.
Right. Yeah.
There were other areas where, like the golden calf. I mean, I've seen that symbol a lot
Mhm.
all over the place. It
Mhm.
doesn't hold as much value to me as a Christian
Right.
as the depiction of the Last Supper, which I was immediately able to identify and understand what was happening.
Mhm.
There is also another one where they talked about with the pale white horse and the thing talking about the end time or something like
Right.
that, right? I mean, I'm not very certain books of the Bible, especially the Old Testament, is not very prominent for most people, right? So symbols like those would not carry as
Mhm.
much weight. Even though I kind of, if you argue that that was an illustration of the pale white horse that we read in the Old Testament,
Mhm.
I'm inclined to agree
So I agree with
that it seems like that was a demonstration of that, right?
you. Mhm.
But for the Last Supper, I think that
Yeah.
depiction was very clear what they were trying to do. I
Right.
think it
Right.
was a mockery
Oh,
of, I would say, Christianity, Jesus, and the whole idea of the
the
Last Supper.
Last
That
Supper.
is the conclusion that I would make.
Yeah. Yeah. There were other things that people thought related to Christian
Hmm.
story and
Mhm.
things in the Bible. But you can interpret it one way or the other. But what was very glaring was really the depiction of the Last Supper, and that is something very central to Christianity,
Mhm.
and particularly if you're Catholic, that's something very central and dear to Catholics as well. You've said it all. It's a mockery. It's a disgrace, and a lot of people felt offended. I felt offended too, looking at that picture, because
Mhm.
it cannot be done to any other religion but Christianity. It seems like Christianity is the only religion that you can comfortably mock at the moment and go away with it, because we are taught to love each other, show the other cheek, do not retaliate, just love your enemies and sing kumbaya. I mean, that's a Christian message.
I think in addition to that, I think Christianity is a lot more tolerant.
It's,
We
it's a lot more time.
I don't know if it's that we are a lot more tolerant, or we just don't care enough about religion
Yeah.
to take action when something like this happens, right? I've heard people call for a boycott of the Paris Olympics, just Christians to boycott watching just because of that.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like a reasonable I mean, a reasonable request to make. But again,
Yeah.
who cares enough
Who cares enough?
about what happened to boycott watching
The
the Olympic
Olympics.
Games? And
Yeah.
I think that's where the impact is. I
Yeah.
think Christians are a lot more tolerant. We are not as immersed in the religion to the point where something like this would offend us to a
Right.
certain level as compared to other religions, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
You can't
again,
do
I have
this
no,
for Islam. You can
you
mock the Prophet Muhammad like
no,
that
no,
and go scot-free. I mean,
no.
remember what happened in France with the Charlie Hebdo
Charlie
newspaper, that
Hebdo, yes.
they did a mockery of the Prophet Muhammad and 12 people died.
And that
You know,
I mean, just imagine, it was just a common newspaper in France
right.
where I don't even know how
No,
many people
yeah,
are
pays
subscribed
attention.
to that print, right?
Right.
But again, see the reaction, and then
The
imagine
reaction, yeah.
where they display something like this in public in front of the entire world. Everybody is watching the
Everybody's
Olympics.
watching.
I know
Yeah.
people who tune just to because again I know that opening ceremonies are usually opportunities for the host country to display
To display their
culture,
culture.
to
Hmm.
display them, to tell you about who they are, not use an opportunity to tread to I don't know, tease the waters, or how to call it, dip your toes a little bit, see whether it bites or it's warm or it's hot. I
Yeah.
think this is what these guys did. Do a Last Supper. I don't mind you doing that. Put women. I don't care that you
Right.
put women. But once you start dragging in transgender, you start I guess everyone on that
On the
table
diversity list, on the
was
DEI list.
was of the was exactly that. And I saw a child. I would say it's a child.
Right.
There was a child in the midst of all that. It's like,
It
what
was a
are
child
they
of the Last
trying to
Supper.
show? What
No.
message are they trying to pass
Yeah.
across? That was a hard one. Yeah,
Um,
definitely a hard one for me.
Haran, especially really Christianity is the religion that you can mock and go scot free. And I think part of it is, the Christian message of love and that. And it's also the Christian ethos. You know, we are not a people of violence.
Hmm.
We're a people of love. We try to convince people through love, through our action of kindness. You will
Hmm.
never hear that we go to war. I mean, back in the days, Christians used to go to war to defend their countries or not. But now, Christians are taught to love, they are tolerate, and that is a good message. I mean, that's what Christ taught. But sometimes it can go too far and even wake up some Christians and like, you know what, this war is against us. It's a spiritual warfare, and we have to get into the fight.
Hmm.
So it's amazing that a lot of people spoke back. A lot of people raised their voices about this controversy, and the organizers had to come out and apologize. And before we go to the apology, did you even see the pictures? I mean, you've already said it was the definition of identity. You know, the central person, I guess, the person who had to. First of all, there were more women there. The Last Supper
Hmm.
is only males. Uh,
Mostly,
Mostly only
only
males. I mean,
men, not mostly, only men. Right,
Mary was at the corner. If you look at it, Mary,
right.
but just one woman. But then Jesus came incarnate in the form of man. The person who was in the form of Jesus was a woman too. She was like obese or something. And then 3, there was transgender, gay, children. And if you look at the picture deeply, you could almost see people's private parts. There's one guy that you could clearly see his private part.
It was, yes, yeah.
So you take something so sacred to Christianity, and then you defy it in every possible sense.
Mm-hmm.
You replace it with people that, from the outlook, you can say this kind of behavior does not coincide with the Christian message. This
Mm-hmm.
kind of behavior is parallel with the Christian
Mm-hmm.
message. So I think that's why people are really offended.
But
And
again, I think the Catholic Church, again, I'll talk about the Catholic
right,
Church. I would say that again, as part of the larger Christian group, right? I would say that the Catholic Church, their level of tolerance is to the point where anything goes. It's not long
right,
ago when the Pope said, "Yeah, you could bless and marry."
yeah,
I mean, if you can accept that, then why why
well,
why is it so hard
we
for you
have
to
issues with
accept
this one, yeah,
the level of representation that we saw on the
right,
display in Paris, right? Because again, you can't pick and choose. You are either a conservative, family-oriented, a strictly Bible messaging, or you're not, right? You can't pick and choose what part of the modernism or
yeah,
the development message that you want to take. If you're saying we should marry and bless transgender people in church, or gay men and women, same-sex couples in church, then
I
you
don't
should
know
not be
what he meant in
upset.
church. He didn't mean in church, but
Again, it
he
doesn't
said that,
matter.
yeah,
But if you
yeah.
can accept them as
He
part
said
of
civil
your congregation,
union,
as
yeah,
part of your people, then why are you so upset if they
right,
put
right,
a couple of women and transgender men, men, whatever you want to call them, and they do something like
right,
this? I mean, is it
yeah,
justified for you to be upset to a
exactly.
certain extent?
I mean, for sure, the Pope is more liberal leaning, so his messages and policies will kind of favor this kind of thing. But
I don't think I've read any message from the, again, I'll speak to the Roman Catholic Church because
yeah,
again that's the group that I belong to. I haven't heard anything from the Pope. I haven't seen anything from
mm,
the Vatican. Have you?
yeah. Not from the Vatican, but I've seen a couple of bishops who have come out, a couple of priests who have come out and have spoken. But well, maybe not. I haven't checked to see if anything came from the Vatican to condemn that. Yeah, that would be interesting. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
But I've seen a couple of bishops online,
Mm-hmm.
say this is despicable, this is unacceptable, and we Christians have to stand up. There are a few that have come out and said that they didn't like that. But again, it's undertoned by that Christian loving way of correcting, right? It's never, oh, you guys go and pick arms and fight for your rights and blah blah blah. But they should, in what the Christian would term holy anger and stuff like that.
Even Jesus, even I mean, I'm not
And
a preacher of the
theologian.
Bible, but I know that even there are points in the Bible where even Jesus himself got
Yeah.
upset and
Uh,
was a little
yeah.
aggressive or violent. I mean,
Exactly.
so you know,
But it does take a lot to offend Christians and to get them riled up and
but
to
isn't this too far, Ghana? Isn't this
it
good
is, yeah.
reason to be
To
upset?
be
I
fair.
mean, to be genuinely
To
upset.
be fair,
Is
yeah.
it not? Is this good enough? You
Yeah.
think?
Yeah. But what will Christians do? Because on the one hand, the Christian message says love your enemies. So it's different from Islam, where there's a clear message of jihad against people who are infidels, people who mock Muhammad. So they have a clear message in their holy book to tell them to go against people who mock the prophet. So
Mhm.
in the Christian message, you have this, you're upset, but you say, oh, the Bible tells you love your enemy. Love is a superior virtue of all virtues. Um, how do you balance that?
Again, another question: why bring children into all this?
That's
I mean, if
the
adults
point.
were out there doing their thing and
Doing your
exposing
thing,
their
right?
sexual, really, it's adults
Yeah.
consenting, genuine.
Minus that,
Why you bring a child?
if you have adults, you have to know that this thing is being watched by families, by
Exactly.
children, by young people. So it's not just those who are performing; it's also the audience, which should be your principal focus. If you decide not only to mock Christianity, but to look at it as a means of propaganda, so that you can indoctrinate
Hmm.
the next generation.
Right.
It's very, very evil. It's evil to its core, you know.
But again, even just leave this aside. The entire ceremony in terms of the performers and the
Mhm.
performances, keeping aside the parade from the teams, each little corner with most of them were um uh, people whose sexual orientation was
Yeah,
not
yeah,
what me and you know. Most of them,
yeah.
and then they were so overly sexual in their dressing,
Overly sexual.
overly sexual.
Like
Every little performance that I saw, there was
there was a
something that
sexual
got me.
intonation.
I would not watch that with my children.
Yeah,
No way.
yeah,
A
yeah,
parent will sit down and watch that. If there was no way that is going to happen,
yeah,
because it was the level of immorality.
yeah.
It was
No,
a whole different level.
yeah.
But again, why are we surprised? It's France. It's Paris. That's
It's
that that's I mean, that's the
it's
modern,
Europe,
again.
modern
Why we
West.
say that's the modern day Sodom and
Yeah,
Gomorrah, technically speaking.
yeah.
So why am I surprised? Yeah, I don't know, because they are so liberal to a certain to a fault,
Right.
where everything goes,
Everything
and
goes.
only there would you see something like this.
Yeah. Anyway, it's and we've said it so many times on this show. The subtle indoctrination, the change of language, the acceptance of nudity, the push
Mhm.
of transgender stuff, subtle in ways that you think is harmless, but it goes a long way. I mean, what will happen to the next big show? They will try to top up the
They'll
previous
top
one.
up this one,
Try
right?
to top it. Try to top it up. And then suddenly Christians are surprised, like, oh, when did this happen? They have been taking baby steps
Yes.
for the last 10 years, but you have always been in the message, oh, love, it doesn't matter, it's unharmful, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly, by the time you wake up your eyes, they are desecrating
I,
something
I,
that
I,
is
I
very
I think
central to
I think
Christianity.
I think I think we are probably not interpreting the message of love properly. Yeah, I might love my enemy,
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean that I join my enemy. I
yeah,
support my enemy in what they are doing, right? I might love and tolerate what you do, but
yeah.
I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to support you do it,
Mm,
right? I think we Christians have tolerated, and in some cases we have supported
that. Yeah.
people like this to
We have
exhibit.
enabled it. Yeah.
We've enabled people, we've enabled these little groups, and it's growing significantly.
Mhm.
10 years back, if you ask people on the street what is this, what, not
Yeah.
everybody would know.
No, nobody
But
know. Yeah.
nowadays, even children will tell you. I spoke with a kid the other day, and they said, "Oh, my cousin." Like they spoke about, spoke about. He said, "Oh, my cousin is called John, for example." And then I'm like, "John, he doesn't look like a
Mm,
boy." He
but
said,
yeah.
"No, yes, she was born a girl, but now she's." This child was about 7,
Right.
but understood the concept of
Yeah.
transgenderism and the transition that occurs under, like they somebody told
Yeah.
them,
Yeah. Yeah.
at 7 years old.
Yeah.
And that was surprising. I'm
It's
like, you're
sad.
at
It's
7
really.
and you know all this, and you're
It's
talking to me about it as if it was, something that was commonplace.
yeah.
It's not,
No,
right?
yeah.
So it's
It,
definitely all of this.
it's sad when you think about it. Like you have to. It is. You have to believe that there's some higher power that is pushing this. This is not just normal because you can't understand that people who have self-mutilated or be mutilated by medical professionals are out there pushing the message on Kate. And then if you are there trying to shield your children from believing its message, you are called a transphobe. Or people who are gay and lesbians, they are out there pushing this message on kids. Like, why on earth should a 7-year-old, 8-year-old have to deal or learn about sexuality? Why is that important to them to learn? So when you start thinking about these things deeply, you almost have to believe that there is ulterior motives. They are trying to push these agendas so hard on our children that it's almost very risky to send your children to school. Because you go there, they begin to change the language, they begin to bring people that look like that, and then begin to normalize it. And then suddenly you become the enemy in your own home. When you tell your child there's only two genders, your child is like, no, in school we're learning that there are 4, 5, 6, 10, whatever. There's no number, you know. And then there's a clash now between parents and the school system. It's almost like who has to
Mm-hmm.
win the war of educating their children. You know, it's really
But
sad. I
it,
when I send my child to school, I want to go learn math, English, chemistry, science.
mhm.
Don't teach my child about sexuality. You know,
At what age? Again,
our age.
you tell a 7-year-old about their sexuality to the point where they yeah, what's the intention? Are
That's the
you
intention.
are you
Up to
educating
the
the
point where
child,
you
or are
you
you
come
just
to you come to watch an international show that is meant to look at human performance at the
Mhm,
top level. You're
mhm,
supposed to see athletes performing who are putting their body through the limit. But
mhm,
what are you getting? You're getting messages that are sexual, getting messages that are showing people who have transitioned,
mhm.
getting messages that are people of the same sex couple. Like, what has that got to do with sports? What has that got to do with sports? It's really sad when you begin to think about it. And the indoctrination is real. It's real. And again, we said they change the language. Now, oh, these people, they were ascribed this at birth,
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, this is how they were born. Oh, this is who they are. Like, even they're beginning to even gay and lesbian, which used to be a big thing, now it's almost like it's been put to the back burner. Now transgender is leading the charge. It's like the gays and lesbians are even surprised. Like, we do not even recognize what these people are talking about. Many of them are beginning to discriminate against gay and lesbians, which was
Mhm.
the initial cause for call to bring in love, and well, you can love whoever you are. Now he hasn't always shifted from love whoever you are. It's now you are able to show on an international show people who have changed, transitioned their genders, people who are mocking Jesus, people who are mocking a depiction of some central value of Christianity. It's
Mhm.
sad. It's really sad.
Yeah,
Let me,
but again,
yeah,
again, again, like you said, it's these people have been taking little
David,
steps.
take a
I
little
mean,
steps for a long
a
time.
couple of years back, was it Lil Nas X
Yeah,
who put out a song, and of course a video with him dancing with the
with the devil.
devil down in
Right.
hell, and doing this performance in the Grammy. Was it a Grammy
Yeah,
award, something
yeah,
like that happened? Like, again, we talk about all this devilish satanic symbolism, right?
yeah.
But again, these are things that have
They're
been going
happening.
on gradually in the
Yeah.
in the west, like of course the western world, the civilized world, as they call themselves. They've been doing this. Once there is been a slow gradual process to
Process.
where
Yeah.
we are now. And again, why we are here now is because we have tolerated.
You
This
can tell
guy
her
did
that.
his little thing, Grammy award, did his performance, everybody cheered and clapped and said, well, it's just one little guy who is not.
Yeah.
And then some other person does one little thing. Again, it just keeps accumulating.
Just
And
accumulate.
then, and at this point, these guys are bold enough to say, well, we don't care.
We
We will
don't,
do a
we don't
depiction
care.
of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Last Supper with our people, and nothing is going to happen. The most we
Exactly.
will do is apologize. But again,
Oh,
apologizing after the fact.
after the fact,
You think they at what point in the creative process did they not sit back and say, I don't think
this
this
can be
is
offensive.
this is appropriate for, or this would be something that the Christians would applaud or appreciate. I'm sure somebody brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, they don't care
They don't
enough
care. They don't
to
care.
so they go ahead and they do what they have to do. But again,
I think the
we have let this
strategies.
happen.
Yeah. The
We are
strategies.
simply
Oh, let's
crying over spilled
overskill
milk.
man.
I get the
Let's.
feeling that that's what is happening.
Yeah. I think their strategy. Oh, let's do something a little bit controversial and see what. Oh, when they do it, a little people rile up, and the masses are generally okay with it. Oh, we can do more. They do a step further, and then there's some pushback and blah blah blah. But everybody is still fine. So it's like baby steps. They keep taking
Mhm.
baby steps, and then suddenly you discover that Jesus, who is the savior in the Christian religion, is being mocked. I mean, if you go as far as mocking Jesus, like
It,
what else? You
it's
know?
represented. Somebody said Jesus was represented by an obese woman.
Yeah, yeah. Not only that,
That is how
but
somebody explain. I
yeah,
read that somewhere. Like
like
really,
by an obese woman.
there was
You know,
no
not only
man.
woman, no man. Like, but oh my
We are
goodness.
not
So
even saying pick the proper color. We are just saying pick any man.
any man.
Right, because again we don't want to go into the no, pick any man and let them represent who
Right.
it's definitely a mockery.
And the-
There
okay.
lots of comments and tweets
Oh,
that
yeah.
I read, which were quite interesting,
It is very
um
interesting. Yeah.
explaining what they believe is happening or
Yeah.
happened. And yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know if you watched the apology. Like, oh, this message was not meant to offend anybody. If
Hmm.
you're offended, of course, we're sorry. That was
Hmm.
one woman. Like,
Hmm.
if you, okay, after the fact, yeah, if you're offended, okay, well, sorry, but you're not supposed to be offended. And then the guy comes in and say, "Oh, we didn't mean to upset anybody, but France is a country of tolerance.
Hmm.
France is a country of acceptance, of
Diversity. Yeah,
diversity. In France, you can love who you want to
you
love.
want
You
you can
can
sleep with
you
who you
can
want to
say
sleep
what
with.
you want. No, in this video, we're just doing it is because of inclusivity and diversity." But he's not saying the quiet part out loud, because the
Allah,
quiet part deserves. If you don't accept this, then
we don't
you're not.
care.
We don't care. That's really what he's trying to
Yeah.
say. You know, and of course, France is a country of tolerance and inclusivity, except you are a Christian and the Christian message of the Last Supper is very central to you.
Yeah.
Then you are not included in that thing.
No.
Except you're a Christian who believes that marriage is between man and woman, then you're not part of that.
Hmm.
Except you're a Christian who believes that you should not transition kids from one gender to another, then you are not part of that tolerance. Except you believe that there's a difference between man and woman, and we have various gifts and various differences that are innate to our very nature,
Hmm.
then you're not part of that inclusivity. Except you believe that there's an authority in the home. There's Christ, there's a man, there's a woman, there are children that fall under that, and they all should try to live the Christian value. Then you're not part of that the tolerance message he's talking about. So
Hmm.
it's all this tolerance that they are pushing. They are pushing a particular agenda. If you
Hmm.
go against the grain, they are going to come after you.
Yep.
If you come back and say there are only two genders, my goodness, then you will know that those people are not very tolerant. If you come and say something like what love, love is not love in the context of marriage. Love means between a man and a woman. Then they are going to come after you. Then you know that all the messages that are preaching about tolerance is
Hmm.
only unidirectional. It doesn't go the other way.
I guess they don't care about the 2.4 billion Christians. I hear
Yeah,
they read there are 2.4 billion
they don't
Christians in
give a
the world.
shit.
So they don't care about the
They
2.4.
don't give
Because
a
again,
shit.
if any of them cared, then we might not have been having this conversation.
Right.
This wouldn't have come up. Nobody would have allowed this to go ahead. Can you attempt trying something like this in some conservative, take any African or maybe some,
No way.
there's no way this is going to
Yeah.
pass.
Yeah.
This is not going to hold. No way
Right.
that an idea like this would be
Yeah. Yeah.